Hey, Hugh Lopdell here from Oak Park Chartered Accountants. If you're watching this video, there's a very good chance you are buying a pharmacy. Well, how about that? Congratulations to you. We do a lot of work with pharmacies here at Oak Park, and honestly, sometimes it feels like all I do. I've seen for a while there's very little specialised help out there for new pharmacy owners. So what I've done is brain dumped a bunch of my knowledge into this 4-part video series, which we'll post on Facebook and YouTube. The idea being to give new pharmacy owners a resource and some help. Now, it'll be useful to you if your purchase is just around the corner, of course. If you're a year or two away from buying, it'll still be valuable prep and a heads up. So I've called this first video preparation. In my second video, I'll cover pricing and borrowing. In the third video, legal, structure and staff. In the fourth video, I'll have some comments about your first year or two in business. Each video is about 20 minutes long, so make yourself a cup of something, grab a notepad and pen, and I'll get underway. Now, the series will cover buying an existing pharmacy and not setting one up from scratch, which is quite a different kettle of fish. So today's video covers a number of things you need to think about and do prior to signing a contract. By way of intro, I just want to set the scene a little for you. You're about to become a business owner for the first time. Now, owning a business is not the easiest thing you will do in your life. There's a fair chance it will be one of the most challenging things you will do in your life. But challenges are okay. They grow us, they're good for us. Nothing's for free. You'll learn a lot along the way, and including about yourself. Now, I like pictures, and a helpful picture of what it's like to become a business owner, I think, is what it's like to become a parent for the first time. You know, you look forward to that day for some time, but for most new parents, you're never quite prepared for what a step up it is, and what it will require of you for many years ahead. So the first thing now is that the buck stops with you. There's no boss above you, which is great, right? You get the freedom to do it your way and to carve out your future, and all going well, reap the benefits down the track. That's awesome. That's why you're doing this thing. The reverse side of the coin is, well, the same. The buck now stops with you. Every problem your staff can't deal with will end up on your plate. When you close the shop at night, everyone else forgets about work completely, but you can't. When you lose a customer or a customer complains, it will affect you. When there's staff issues, no matter how tricky and complex, you will need to deal with it. When your key pharmacist or tech leaves or starts a family, you will need to find their replacement. If there's talk of a competitor opening nearby, and heaven forbid a discounter, or a medical centre's downsizing or moving away, it's you who will lose sleep. At Christmas, every Christmas, your staff will want their holidays, locums will be hard to find, and guess who will work through? You. So a bit like the baby example, it is all worth it, but it's still challenging. So it's good to have your eyes wide open about that. All right, next you need to know what you are buying. Seems obvious, but it's not. Now, ideally, you're an employee of the pharmacy already. So you know the customers, you know the staff, you know the shop's systems and procedures, the medical centre relationships. You'll also have a good idea of the shop's strengths and weaknesses. So that's a clear benefit, to have the inside knowledge of what you are buying. But whether or not you've been working in the pharmacy, because often that's not the case, here are some suggestions for gaining information that is readily available to you. Now, you're going to come in with some fresh ideas, of course, and that is usually a very healthy thing for an established business. So that's all good. But it's important that you understand that what the vendor did and does created the loyalty or goodwill in that business, and you need to find out what he or she did and maintain those strengths. It's the goodwill you are buying. So, do they have a high engagement with the community? Find out how they do that. Do they have a particularly good relationship with a rest home, with a medical centre, a DHB? Get them to introduce you. Do they run a specially efficient dispensary? Find out what systems, what procedures, processes they operate, how they go about that. Pick the vendor's brains to ensure you know what you need to do to secure the existing business's income. This is more important if you have not already worked in the pharmacy. Now, in addition, you need to do what you can to establish what the strengths and weaknesses of the business are. You know, is there a risk of a discounter opening in the area? Is the medical centre staying put? That can be a very key thing. You may not be able to find out what their lease arrangements are, but sometimes you can tell by just walking in there and looking around and seeing if they've spent a bunch of money on fit out recently. That's a good sign that they are there for the longer term. Are their LTC numbers good, or is there room for improvement? Do they vaccinate or do other consultations? Is there a consulting room? Do staff upsell as a matter of practice the retail stock? Is the staffing efficient, sufficient, well balanced between retail, pharmacist and tech, or off balance? Because you'll need to put that right. Has the vendor deferred replacing things like computers, shelving, fridges, safe perhaps, meaning you'll need to spend money on these down the track? Now, some of these will come out in due diligence, but it's good for you to do what you can to find out. Quiz the wholesaler. Now, they have dealt with a vendor for years. They often have helpful perspectives on weaknesses and strengths of that the owner may be not so forthcoming about, or not forthcoming at all. Not that there's anything bad, it's just you don't always see your own weaknesses. All right, now a word on choosing your professionals. Your key professional partners are your lawyer, your bank, your wholesaler, and your accountant. There are other key people. Your landlord's one of them, but you don't choose your landlord, so the four I mentioned are the four I'll focus on. Your lawyer is transactional. You need them at the start for the purchase, for the borrowing, and for the lease. Then later for things like employment advice, lease renewals, trust, and any refinancing. Hopefully not litigation. For the most part, their job for you is generic, meaning you don't need a lawyer really who specialises in pharmacy. Legally, the purchase of a pharmacy is not very different from the purchase of any retail business. More important, actually, is that they're pleasant to deal with, they're happy to explain things to you, and I think it's better to have a firm of lawyers with at least 3 partners who between them specialise in different fields such as employment, trusts, relationship law, contracts, litigation. It helps if your lawyer is around a similar age to you, as it means there's more chance they'll be your lawyer right through your business life or for most of it. That's a help. So that's lawyers. Ask around, ask your wholesaler, ask your accountant. Bankers. Now they're similar. Don't worry too much about finding a banker that specialises in pharmacy. Bankers move around a lot within their bank. So the banker you start with will probably move on in a couple of years and you'll have someone new. So what's important is that you choose the right bank rather than choose the right person in the bank. A bank's reputation for service is a big one, I think. You'll be with them a long time and you'll appreciate good service over the long haul. In the end, however, the big driver will be which bank will lend you what you need. Banks have different appetites, especially these days, for pharmacy risk. So talk to your wholesaler. In my experience, they have the most up-to-date knowledge on this. Now, your wholesaler. Now, unless your opportunity came through working in the pharmacy, it's probably the wholesaler who will have brought you the chance to buy this pharmacy. So you'll want to be loyal to that wholesaler at least for a couple of years. They may have lent you your first month's stock purchase, so that locks you in for a year at least. Now, if you're an employee of the pharmacy and that's how you gain this opportunity, you don't owe the wholesaler anything probably, and you can invite a competitor to tender for your business. Now, if you do, don't be driven by price alone. Their delivery frequencies, their stock outages, and the ongoing advice and support are big factors too. But given you have a lot on your plate at the start, reviewing your supplier in a decision is a decision you can probably kick down the road and look at in, say, a couple of years. Now, accountants. Choosing the right accountant can add a significant amount of value over your business life. If you choose well, your accountant will be alongside your business for years, helping and advising you and adding value. Now, in my view, there's two key traits you should look for in an accounting firm. One, they have a number of pharmacy clients. The reason I say this is as I've come to learn, pharmacy is the most unique and specialised business I've encountered in my accounting career. I strongly recommend you choose an accountant who knows the ins and outs of the pharmacy industry, how pharmacies generate their income and how they're paid, and what the key financial benchmarks are for pharmacies. If they don't have this particular experience, then all they'll be for you is kind of a high-level bookkeeper and tax man or woman, which I think is a missed opportunity for you. The trouble with what I've just described is there's only a few of us in the country. Oak Park is one, and I know of maybe 4 really strong pharmacy specialists nationally. So I suggest talk to your wholesaler, do a Google search, look at their Google reviews and ratings. Check their Facebook page, read the reviews there, check their website for testimonials of pharmacies. You know, testimonials from existing pharmacies counts for a lot. All right, the second thing to look for with an accountant is they're proactive. Now, most accountants, sadly, are not. They're very reactive, and I'm not proud to say that as a member of that profession. You'll hear from them once a year at annual accounts time and never otherwise. You'll end up feeling like a number, and they will never proactively add value. Now, the problem is, I've just described 80% of the accountants in the country. So again, don't just pick the one nearby. Ask your wholesaler and look online for references and reviews. Okay, now, due diligence is one of the conditions on your sale and purchase agreement. Due diligence is like an AA pre-purchase check on your car, but for a business. So an accountant does a sort of audit of the business. They look under the hood, they check there are no hidden problems you should know about that aren't immediately obvious. And again, due to the unique nature of pharmacies, I strongly recommend you get this done by an accountant experienced in pharmacy. It's also worth noting, one wholesaler I know does a lot of due diligence work for you for free if you use them. So ask around. Okay, timing. Pharmacy sales happen when they happen, which is usually driven by when the vendor wants to get out. So you have to just run with their timing ultimately. But if the vendor doesn't have an urgent need to get out and their retirement is well planned, try and get them to agree to a 1 April settlement date, particularly if the sale's happening after Christmas. Now, the reason for this is 1 April is when the new financial year starts, and say a 1 February settlement will leave you paying an accountant to do a 2-month set of accounts. When if you push it out just 2 months to 1 April, that cost is saved, which in your first year is helpful cash flow wise. All right, your license and contract. Now, you can't legally trade without a license from MedSafe, you probably know that, and you'll not get paid from the ministry without a contract from the DHB. Now, they will only look at an application when the agreement for sale and purchase is unconditional. So they need 20 working days to process your application, so work backwards from your desired settlement date and make sure your sale and purchase agreement is signed and your conditions, especially finance, are fulfilled by around 6 weeks from settlement date. You can try sending your application in early, then confirming when the solicitor tells you it's gone unconditional. Get this right and you'll save yourself the last minute scramble that I've seen many times, which just adds more stress to the whole arrangement. So having chosen your advisors, and this is important, simple but important, ask questions. Ask questions. Don't be shy or think they're stupid questions. If you choose the right advisors, they'll answer all your questions as long as you've got them. Your advisors have vast experience. And remember, there are no stupid questions. Ask questions. Fastest way to learn. Advice from friends. Now, just a caution on that. In my experience, friends' advice is of varied quality and is skewed by their own experience. So sometimes less is more here. You get too many opinions, it gets confusing. Again, lean on your wholesaler and your accountant. That's my advice. All right, well, that's all I have to say on preparation. As I said, in the next video, I'll get on to the grunty aspects of price and borrowing. So remember, all these videos, all 4 of them, will be on our Facebook and YouTube, and they'll also be on our website. All right, I hope you found that helpful. If you know someone buying a pharmacy or someone else buying a pharmacy, send them the link. That's all for this time. Thanks for listening. Hugh Lopdell from Oak Park Chartered Accountants.